A voice suddenly spoke, and someone recognized it as his brother. The teacher realized it was Hoshia Kawazan's brother, and the boy explained that he had come to retrieve the reference book he'd been using, then apologized deeply. The teacher proceeded to the next page. It was an online class. 2 students, a boy and a girl, were attending remotely. During the lesson, the teacher instructed them to read the next page aloud. The boy was introduced as Yoshino-kun. The girl apologized to Yoshino-kun, and Yoshino replied quietly. Both of them spoke in soft voices. Then the story introduced Hashiwa Haruka, describing her silky hair, fair skin, large, captivating eyes, and the features normally hidden behind the mask she wore outside. Up close, she was Hashikawa Haruka, rumored to come from an old distinguished family, top of their year, and the class beauty. A flashback showed a group of girls asking Haruka where she had been confessed to this time, and another girl asked how many it had been that month. Yoshino thought that because she was so popular in high school, he, Yoshino Kaneda, had assumed she was someone completely unrelated to him. That was why it felt unreal that Hashikawa Haruka was sitting right beside him. He wondered why she had touched him. Yoshino then asked if something had happened to the computer again. Haruka answered that it had been acting strange a moment earlier, smiling as she explained it. She added that the controls hadn't been responding properly, though they might be fixed now. Yoshino thought that she might be observing his reaction and wondered if she was enjoying it. He told her that it was good if things were working again. Yoshino kept thinking that this was troublesome, believing Haruka shouldn't casually touch someone's body. He thought that if he were full of worldly desires, he might have behaved differently, and hoped Haruka appreciated that he was a gentleman. Then Haruka touched him again, and Yoshino yelped when her hand reached his flank. Yoshino and Hashikawa were shown sitting together as Yoshino wondered if this situation meant she was boldly exposing her thighs. He worried he might be misunderstanding, and considered that Hashikawa Haruka might truly be unaware of her own posture. Yoshino thought that if she kept revealing them like that, a certain thought would inevitably form in his mind. He realized this was bad, and assumed Hashiwa Haruka would surely notice. Hashiya Haruka asked what was wrong, and Yoshino answered that nothing was wrong. Hashiwa Haruka noticed Yoshino's face was red, and asked if he felt unwell, and Yoshino said he was fine. Yoshino then wondered if he should brew some warm tea later, since Hashiwa Haruka wasn't good with machines and couldn't make it herself. The scene then shifted, showing the building, and Yoshino explained that it was Hashiya Haruka's house. 3 days earlier, in April of their second year of high school, they learned that an infected person had appeared, so the area needed to be disinfected. Yoshino thought the janitor must be struggling, and wondered when they would be able to enter again. Yoshino and an older man were talking, and the man explained that they couldn't go inside for the time being. The man added that from that day on, it had been decided that the dormitory would close. Yoshino reacted in shock, thinking about his belongings still inside. The old man explained that everyone else had already evacuated back to their hometowns just like that. Yoshino questioned how things had progressed so quickly, and the man said it would be awful if a mass infection happened, and he'd been told to inform students they should go home until the dorm reopened. Yoshino then asked if the man had forgotten about him, and the man apologized. Yoshino thought he had never imagined things would turn out this way. While he had been in the clubroom fooling around with the computer, everything had changed. Yoshino decided he would call his mother for the time being, but she said she was scared of getting infected and told him not to come home. Yoshino then tried contacting his friends, but his friends said his parents refused and simply wished him good luck. Yoshino found himself in a difficult situation. He considered going to an internet cafe, but the receptionist explained that high school students were only allowed inside until 10 p.m. He tried karaoke next, but was turned away again. He thought of staying at a hotel, but the price was far too high, and Yoshino only had 20,000 yen. The scene then shifted to Yoshino sleeping outside on a bench. He told himself he would sleep outdoors and that he wouldn't die just from enduring a night outside. It was spring, so the weather wasn't too cold. But then Yoshino noticed something. Someone was walking toward him. Yoshino realized it was Hashiwa Haruka from his class. Both Yoshino and Hashikawa Haruka recognized each other. Then the view cut out, and Yoshino felt as though their eyes had met. He wondered if he had imagined it. Hashikawa Haruka was then shown digging through a bag, taking out her phone, and reaching around for something. Yoshino wondered what Hashiya Haruka was doing. Meanwhile, Hashikawa Haruka thought that she was in trouble because she couldn't catch any Wi-Fi signal. Yoshino thought Haruka was sneaking around like a robot, and felt like she was glancing his way. Their eyes met again, and Yoshino confirmed to himself that they really had. Yoshino tried to speak, and Hashiya Haruka suddenly responded. Yoshino apologized, thinking he had startled her by talking so abruptly. Hashiya Haruka replied that it hadn't been abrupt and that she had simply been surprised. Yoshino acknowledged it, and Hashiya Haruka then asked if Yoshino-kun was Yoshino Kinatada from their year in Class A, explaining that since he wore a mask and it was dark, she hadn't recognized him. Yoshino wondered what was with the oddly forced casual tone, and confirmed that he was indeed that Yoshino. Hashiya Haruka reacted to his answer, and Yoshino wondered why she seemed so happy and whether she had always been like that. Hashiya Haruka pointed out that it was already dark and asked why Yoshino was there. Yoshino noticed that she had returned to her usual demeanor and explained that he had been planning to sleep outside. Hashikawa Haruka reacted in shock at the idea of sleeping outdoors. They kept talking, and Yoshino explained that he lived in the student dormitory, but Hashiya Haruka cut him off, saying she already knew because she had seen him coming out of the dorm before. Yoshino thought to himself that she had really been watching him. He then explained that someone in the dorm had been infected, so the building had been shut down, leaving him with nowhere to stay. Hashikawa Haruka asked about his family home, and Yoshino said his parents had told him not to return because they were afraid of infection. Hashikawa Haruka acknowledged it quietly. Yoshino then asked what Hashikawa had been doing, and she explained that she had come to catch a Wi-Fi signal. Yoshino was surprised, and Hashikawa Haruka said she had heard they wouldn't be able to attend classes starting next week without Wi-Fi, so she thought she could catch the signal here and bring it home. Yoshino explained that the public Wi-Fi in the park only worked in that area, and asked whether Hashiya Haruka had an internet connection at home and what kind of Wi-Fi she used. Hashikawa said she didn't know. Yoshino thought it was surprising, since she was supposed to be smart, and Hashikawa thanked him politely. Yoshino said she could probably figure it out herself, but Hashiya Haruka said she couldn't because she was terrible with machines. Hashiya Haruka mentioned that Yoshino-kun was in the computer club. Yoshino realized she actually knew quite a lot about him, and Hashiya Haruka asked if it was okay for him to help her. She said she wanted Yoshino-kun, who understood computers, to teach her, and she asked politely if it wasn't too much trouble. Yoshino wondered if he was dreaming, thinking that the day when that Hashikawa would ask him for help had finally come. He agreed, saying it was fine if she was okay with him, and thought that helping Hashikawa Haruka was much better than sleeping outside alone. He then remembered they had talked about Wi-Fi before too. Hashikawa then said she wanted Yoshino to make the Wi-Fi usable at her home, and added that it wouldn't even take 5 minutes on foot. Yoshino asked about her parents' permission and the time, but Hashiya suddenly grabbed him and said her house was that way. Yoshino agreed, and thought that something about it felt a bit improper, but at the same time, strangely like a date. He asked if her house was really over there, and Hashiya confirmed it. It was a big building. Hashikawa told him to come in, and Yoshino apologized for intruding, thinking that after living in a messy boys' dorm, he couldn't help feeling nervous. Once they stepped inside Hashikawa's house, Yoshino thought everything looked incredible and completely state-of-the-art. Hashiya asked what he was talking about, then removed her mask, revealing her face. Yoshino thought that even without the mask, her face was unbelievably beautiful, easily worth 3 million points in his mind. He also noted how amazing the interior was and how convenient the facilities seemed. Hashiya agreed they looked convenient, but said that, in reality, they were incredibly inconvenient. Yoshino wondered how that could be. Hashiya explained that the computer was in her room and asked if he could come in to check it. Yoshino agreed, then asked where her family was, saying that since it was already late, he wanted to greet them first. Hashiya said they weren't there and that she lived alone. Yoshino reacted in surprise, and Hashiya explained she was living away from her family. Yoshino acknowledged it, realizing it meant the two of them were alone. Hashikawa asked if he was okay and if he still wanted to come in. Yoshino assured her he was fine. Hashiya looked relieved and said it was her bedroom, so it was a bit embarrassing, but she showed it to him anyway. They enter Hashiya's bedroom, and Yoshino thought that it smelled nice. He then spotted the laptop and realized it was the same school-loaned laptop he had. He decided he should finish the job quickly and head out. Yoshino told Hashiya Haruka that he would touch it for a moment, and Hashiya Haruka mentally told herself she needed to prepare at the word touch. Yoshino said this was what she had called him for and wondered if she had left any screen open that she didn't want him to see. He then told her go first and touch it, apologizing, and Hoshiko wa Haruka asked if he had experience. Yoshino asked if it was okay for him to just start touching it. Then Yoshino began using the laptop and explained each step, opening the settings, entering the password for the apartment's dedicated Wi-Fi, and opening the browser to confirm the connection. While Yoshino explained, Hoshiko Haruka thought it was embarrassing. She told herself it wasn't something to be embarrassed about, and that it would only be an issue if she couldn't redo the setup, but she knew that wasn't the reason she felt this way. Yoshino finished and said it was done, and Hoshiko Haruka commented on how fast it had been. Yoshino explained that next time she turned it on, it would connect automatically. Suddenly, Hoshiko Haruka grabbed his hand and told him he had really helped her, thanking him sincerely. Yoshino replied that she was welcome and asked if he could go back now. Hoshikawa Haruka asked where he meant, and Yoshino replied that he meant going back to the park. Hoshikawa Haruka said that it wouldn't be good for him to return there because he might get sick, and she reminded him that she lived alone. She added that there was a spare room next door and pointed out that it was already late. Yoshino began thinking. He then agreed and apologized for overstaying his welcome. Hoshikawa Haruka asked why he was trying to leave after everything that had happened. Yoshino wondered if she was offering him a place to stay, but he felt it would be a problem to assume that on his own. He thought that if he said the wrong thing, she might end up disliking him, especially since Hoshikawa Haruka was popular and a flawless beauty. Suddenly, Hoshiko wa Haruka said that she was bad with machines and couldn't handle anything besides Wi-Fi. Yoshino acknowledged it, and she continued, saying that Yoshino-kun was good with machines. Yoshino replied that he wasn't particularly great with them, but Hoshiko Haruka insisted that he was definitely better than she was. She explained that remote classes were starting soon, and she was worried she wouldn't be able to attend them properly, which implied her reason. Yoshino then asked if she meant he could stay there. Hosakawa Haruka said that if Yoshino-kun wanted to stay, she would feel bad for asking, but would really help her a lot if he did. She became happy and told him that it was fine, and that he could stay. Yoshino asked if he wouldn't be a bother, and she answered that he wouldn't be at all, and said she was actually happy about it. Yoshino thought about the word happy, and Hoshiko Haruka explained that it was because she could learn about machines from him. Yoshino said that if there was anything he could teach her, he would help her as much as she wanted. Hoshiko Haruka became delighted and started laughing. Yoshino wondered what kind of cute creature she was and couldn't believe she was the same flawless beauty he had seen at school. He thought that maybe that was why. Hoshiko then said she would continue relying on Yoshino-kun from now on, and Yoshino replied that he would be counting on her as well. Yoshino thought that at that moment he didn't notice the lie she had told. Haruka then remembered something from her childhood. Her family always told her she was bad at lying. They said anyone could tell when she was hiding something just by looking into her eyes. Because of that, she became afraid. But in the present, Haruka quietly said that he hadn't noticed. Thank God. Thanks to that, she could live with Yoshino-kun from now on. Sorry for lying. The narrator then explains that her finding Yoshino in the park wasn't a coincidence. A flashback shows Haruka checking her phone. She sees that the student dormitory has been closed. Yoshino used to live in that dorm. She wonders, did he go back home? I'll feel lonely, but if he's okay, that's enough. But what if he couldn't go home? She starts thinking. Haruka knows she's good with technology and that she's smart. She realizes a high school boy has nowhere to stay overnight. So she figures the only place close to the school where someone could spend the night is the park. That thought leads back to the present time. The narrator says Haruka wasn't actually trying to catch Wi-Fi. She was trying to find Yoshino. Haruka had been smiling behind her mask the whole time, but Yoshino never noticed. Masks are useful for hiding expressions, and pretending to be bad with machines was something she made up on the spot because she hadn't planned how to approach him. She thinks back to when she acted like this 1 year ago. What should she say? My phone isn't connecting. I just moved here before the entrance ceremony. It's spring break, so no one is around. It's been like this for 30 minutes. For 30 minutes. Then in that memory, she hears herself say, "Excuse me." Yoshino looks at her and asking me. Haruka replies softly, "Yes, could you help me? My phone isn't connecting to the internet." Yoshino asks to see it. "Could you show it to me?" She hands it over. "Here you go," she says. "Then I'll borrow it for a bit." Haruka nods. "Ah, yes. Yes." He studies the phone. "Whom I see?" Haruka thinks to herself. "That reminds me. It might have been a while since I last relied on someone. Yoshino finishes the setup and returns the phone. I'm done. Haruka is surprised already. Yoshino explains. It was just trying to catch some free Wi-Fi, so I think it's fine now. She thanks him. Thank you very much. I just bought this phone, and after moving here, there isn't anyone I know. Yoshino asks, could be you're planning to grow old here? Haruka answers, yes. Yoshino says, me too. So if you need anything like this again, feel free to ask me. He gives her the phone back. Haruka blushes. In her mind, she admits the truth. She realized she had fallen in love right after she enrolled. It happened when she met him again in the classroom. Something about him felt different from other boys. Quiet, calm, gentle, sincere, so cool. Or rather, I like him. But she never knew how to approach him. She's bad at lying. She felt that if she looked into his eyes, he would immediately know she liked him. So she started daydreaming instead. Yoshino's gaze, the feeling of his hand, how he might react to her words and actions. As her feelings grew stronger, her desires started slipping out of control. And today, she even brought him to her apartment. She thinks to herself, he was so cute. If I play more pranks on him, I wonder what kind of reaction he'll make. Haruka's thoughts keep going. I want to rely on Yoshino-kun more. I want to touch him. I keep relying on him because that lets me be closer. But earlier, my heart was pounding. I got flustered thinking he might really touch me. But this isn't the time to be flustered. She reminds herself she has a problem to tackle starting tomorrow, getting closer to Yoshino before the state of emergency ends. While they can still stay together in close quarters, it might be the best chance to create a gentle, unspoken bond. But I don't want him to think I'm pushy or loose or scary. Then her imagination runs wild. She pictures Yoshino leaning over her, saying, I can't hold back anymore. It's your fault for touching and tempting me. Her mind fills with those images, and quietly in her heart, she thinks, I want Yoshino-kun to make a move on me. The scene shifts. Yoshino is sitting alone, deep in thought. He tells himself, don't get exposed. I'll do my best to keep them hidden. As he thinks this, an image of Hoziwa crosses his mind. Living together with Hoziwa. Meanwhile, on her side, Hoziwa is thinking something completely different. She wonders to herself, if I sneak into Yoshino-kun's bed, it might still not be a good idea.